1/3 of our world has not yet heard the good news of Jesus. One way to spread the good news is through churches, but in many places, this is hard to accomplish. The local church needs disciples or followers of Jesus who are equipped to help them reach their mission.
There's a lot of people who feel like the gospel has gone throughout the world, and that's true, it's gone very many places. But there are still places in the world that are very hard to get to, and a traditional missionary might not be able to go to some of those places. They're high in the mountains of Nepal or the deserts of Africa, and those people have yet to hear anything about Jesus. And so we want to be able to be a part of getting the gospel to some of the hardest places around the world, so people have an opportunity to hear, and if they choose to follow and accept Jesus as their Savior, we want to be part of that.
It really is a paradigm shift when we think about missions in North America, to come alongside the local churches and empower them to teach their people to be committed followers of Jesus and make disciples in their near culture regions. It's a paradigm shift that is taking time in North America. For people to think differently about missions. The effectiveness comes when we come alongside and partner with churches that are there because the 1800s mission movement, but what God is doing now around the world is, as we're partnering with them, the effectiveness of the local people going into their cultures of their same language, their same culture that they grew up. So in many cases, they're leaving the urban areas and traveling to the villages of their origin and spreading the gospel back there and planting churches.
Global Disciples provides a model for assisting churches to train and equip their people that is reproducible and sustainable. Their vision is to see that every person has an opportunity to choose and follow Jesus Christ. Global Disciples equips people to reach their nations.
We work with local churches around the world in 71 countries, and they send us their leaders. We train them, and then they do outreach, and then they plant churches, and they go on to just continue to train others. And so how that works is they have a local church accountability system. So the local church sent them to us, so their accountability system lies with the local church. But also, when they start what we would call a program in their area, they would become part of an alliance through Global Disciples, and then we walk with them for as long as they want to in mentoring. So there's a really good sustaining model for structure, for mentoring, for organization and accountability.
The founder of Global Disciples, Galen Burkholder, in the 80s and early 90s was leading a discipleship training program for North American young adults, sending young adults around the world in outreach after doing a 3-month concentration of training in an urban area in North America. What Galen constantly heard from other churches around the world was, would you come and train our young people the way you're training yours? And Global Disciples was birthed out of a response to that call. The mission model is to come alongside local churches and empower them to train their people, not to own the trainings, not to need to oversee the churches that are planted. Rather, that happens on a local level from those churches that partner with Global Disciples. So we've taken the basics of Christianity and boiled it down into a training and have said, if people all around the world would take these basics of biblical teaching and apply it in their lives, they will become effective followers of Jesus and they will make disciples of other people.
Really, the whole Global Disciples mission model is about transformation. So maybe spiritual transformation, financial and economic transformation, and then leadership, so that we're uplifting and lifting those that we're training, and they're uplifting those in their community.
The villages that are ruled by forces of darkness, when church planters go into that place and they share good news with the top leader of that community, it could be the chief, it could be the village headman, it could be the spiritual leader of that area, or could be the sorcerer, could be the medicine person. When they open their hearts for Jesus, we see transformation. How? People realize if our leaders have changed their way of life, then who are we? We are dependent on them. So they open up their lives and turn to Jesus. Where the gospel is preached and people accept, the light shines there. So we see spiritual impact, positive. Once the training starts and they send the church planters for outreach, they're able to plant 1, 2, 3 fellowships, or what we call small churches. Those churches using Global Disciples model, where they disciple, equip with small business skills, equip with leadership skills. We see the small churches grow, they do discipleship, and those who are being discipled, they go out and share good news in their villages or nearby villages, and new churches are planted. So there is that multiplication that continues.
And I was able to travel with a small group of businessmen to Africa. We had one situation where we were supposed to travel several hours by van to talk to some disciple makers, and they decided the day before that it wasn't safe for us to do that. And instead of them just saying, well, you can't come, too bad, they got in their vehicle at 2 a.m. and drove to meet us so that they could share their stories with us. And that kind of passion, that kind of excitement gives me goosebumps, and it's something that I want to continue to support financially. It's such a good value if you can boil it down to that. Your money is going into the areas where it really needs to go.
To learn more or to get involved with Global Disciples, visit globaldisciples.org.